Morning glory and evening grace, America. I'm Hugh Hewitt. Pleased to welcome back to the Hugh Hewitt Show Senator John Husted from the great state of Ohio, my home state, and I'm always glad to see you, Senator. Senator, congratulations on getting one big, beautiful bill over the goal line. When are you going to go back to Ohio and explain to people everything that's in it? Because there's a lot that's in it.
Well, I'm hoping to go back as soon as possible, but we may be stuck here until August if the Democrats won't relent and support President Trump's nominees. We need to get those done. But the one big beautiful bill, frankly, is a great piece of legislation for working class families in states like Ohio and around the country for that matter. But look, it eliminates taxes on tips, eliminates taxes on overtime, provides a $2,200 tax credit for children. All of those things help working families. It increases the standard deduction for them. Bottom line is they're going to have more take-home pay that stays in their wallets because it's not going to go to taxes. And with the things that we did for small businesses and for manufacturing companies and so forth to reshore things in America, that's going to create more jobs. So overall, I think the credible estimates show that it could add between $7,000 and $11,000 to the pockets of every Ohioan when you consider wages gained and taxes no longer having to be paid.
So, Senator, I'm going to come back to that, and we're going to go in Ohio to sell that message because we're on all across Ohio. I think I cover Ohio more comprehensively in terms of audio and visual than any other state in the union, and that's a good thing. Wasn't by design, but I'm very happy about that. I first want to ask you about the nomination. My friend Mike Waltz, and Mike's been my friend for a decade. My son has worked for him on and off, and so I know him very well, but I know him from the Nixon Library when he was on the Nixon Foundation Symposium, the Nixon Seminar. So we got to get him up to the UN. I gather he got out of committee today 12:10. When can you vote on on Mike Waltz becoming Ambassador Waltz?
Well, we'll do it as soon as possible, but I think you know that the Democrats have been obstructing. I heard this stat the other day that in the history of the Senate, since all the way back to Herbert Hoover, there's never been a situation where there have not been confirmations with voice votes or by unanimous consent, which means, hey, let's just get through this. The Democrats are trying to run out the clock on everyone, and I'm sure they'll try to run out the clock on this one. But we're prepared to stay. And think about this. We're past 6 months into the presidency, and he still doesn't have the whole team on the field because of the obstructionist nature of the Democrats. So Republicans in the Senate, I think we've had more days here than we've had at any time during the 21st century, and we're going to stay here until we get them confirmed.
My hat is off to Leader Thune for doing that, Senator, and I'm very happy that Mike got a Democrat vote. Senator Jeanne Shaheen of New Hampshire, who is retiring, actually voted for Mike Waltz to proceed. That is, I believe, the first Democratic vote for a Trump nominee since January of 20th of this year, which is remarkable. And we're getting our lunch eaten at the UN by the Chi-Coms, and so we need Mike up there, and I'm glad to hear it. I'm not sure there are any judges I care about other than Mr. Bove. Is there anyone else on your radar other than Waltz and Bove that you really want to get moved?
Well, I don't want to pick out anyone in particular, but look, we have people in the Department of Commerce where we're trying to do trade issues. We have people at the Department of Defense when we're trying to deal with Russia and China and Iran. We have people at the EPA when we're trying to figure out how to improve energy production in this country so that we can lead in AI. So there are positions all across the field that have not been filled due to the obstructionist nature of the Democrats. And that's why I just keep emphasizing this president deserves to have his team. Let's get this going. If we want to move America forward, we want to compete against China. We want to stop Russian aggression. We want to have an AI energy strategy. We want to put people to work and create jobs. Then you got to have people at work doing this every day. And there's no reason that these confirmations aren't done other than the Democrats just won't let us have a vote.
Now, Senator, I listened earlier today to an interview that Leader Thune did with our friends over at the Ruthless Podcast, and it turned to NIL. And I was all ears because the last time I addressed the Republican conference, I came in, when the conference gets together for donuts and coffee, And I thought we would be talking about this and that and the other thing. And the first question came from outgoing Senator Richard Burr, who wanted to know about what I thought about NIL. And my response was a bit cheeky. I said, well, don't do anything. Ohio State has first mover advantage. And we had a good laugh. And then they proceeded to tell me why NIL would never get out of the Senate. Now, the leader made news on the Ruthless podcast. He suggested maybe there needs to be a federal preemption statute setting some boundaries and guidelines for NIL and for college athletics. What do you think about that?
Well, that's what the colleges are asking for, frankly. We need to have an even playing field. You can't have one state having one set of rules, another state having another set of rules. And right now it's kind of the wild, wild west. It's very rare, but sometimes people actually come to you and say, please regulate us. Please save us from ourselves. That's what the situation we have right now with college sports is, that to save it, I think you've got to set some guardrails around it, or it's gonna go off the road. And it's probably pretty close to already being there. So I would be in favor of working with the universities, which we have been, at setting some standards about how NIL should work. I think it's going to be good for college athletics if we get that done. If not, I think it jeopardizes college athletics as we know it.
Senator, I didn't go to Columbus. I just root for them. And when you go back in the August break, whenever it begins, whether it's in 10 days or 20 days, whenever it begins, wherever you go to do a town hall, you're going to get asked about NIL. Do you anticipate that? I mean, I think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, look, sports fans want to have these questions answered. Ohio State's got a big game with Texas at the end of August, right? So this is, and Ted Cruz is the chairman of the committee where the NIL issues are being addressed. So, there's going to be a buzz about this, and I'm prepared. And I'm prepared to support the compromise that I think that is being engineered right now.
I like Senator Cruz's addition to the One Big Beautiful Bill of a $1,700 tax credit for scholarship funds for K through 12. I wouldn't let him run the NIL, though. I'm afraid that he will absolutely just cut a special deal for Texas athletes. So keep an eye on that for me.
Well, that's why the rules have to be the same for everyone. Us folks in the Big Ten, we've been laughing for a while that now we're starting to win national championships because we can pay our athletes like everybody else has been for a while. So there you go.
Now, I know what the Democrats are going to do. They're going to, if you hold town halls, they're going to stack them with AstroTurf activists who are going to say you cut Medicaid and threw people off of Medicaid. How are you going to respond, Senator?
Well, that's a flat-out lie, because in Ohio, we've been running Medicaid responsibly. In states like ours, hospitals are going to see a big increase in Medicaid funding, quite frankly. I have thank you letters from hospitals saying, thank you, Senator Husted, thank you, Senator Moreno, my Republican colleague from Ohio, for making sure that rural hospitals and hospitals were looked out for in the Big Beautiful Bill. It's a false narrative that people like Chuck Schumer are trying to peddle. It's not true in places like Ohio. The only thing that's going to happen, the only big reform that's going to happen where somebody needs to pay attention is that if you're able-bodied, healthy adult and you don't have young children, well, now you're going to have to go to work 20 hours a week in return for the generous benefits that are funded by your neighbors and the taxpayers of this country. And so, yes, there's going to be some more accountability. Yes, if you're capable of working, we're going to ask you to do something in return for those benefits. And yes, the states that have been abusing the Medicaid system by paying for health care for illegal immigrants, we're going to stop you from doing that. That's what they're worried about in places like New York and California, is they've been abusing the system, and we're going to stop that from happening.
Senator, you've got to reelect in 26. Now, it's a pretty red state now, pretty red. Even Trumbull, Mahoning, and Ashtabula counties have gone from deep blue to dark red. Nevertheless, Democrats will throw someone at you, and it might be Sherrod Brown. He's like the guy who never quits, so he might be back. Who do you expect to be up against?
Frankly, I don't know, and I'm being flippant in this. I don't care, because it's about, I'm an athlete. I'm a football player. I prepare for the big game. I don't worry about who's going to be on the other side of the field. we'll work hard every day. We'll do our job right. We'll put the campaign together that we need to win, and we'll work our tails off. We'll do what it takes to bring home a Republican victory and keep a Republican majority in the U.S. Senate to support the president's America First agenda, and I'm ready to fight and win.
Senator John Husted, thanks for joining me. Keep me posted, and I hope you get back to Ohio sooner rather than later after you get the nominations done, so I appreciate the time. Don't go anywhere, America. John Husted's probably got to go back to the floor and vote on some of these ridiculous obstacles the Democrats are throwing up against Donald Trump's nominees.